Hey, how are you doing today?
Good, Drew. How you doing, baby boy?
Dude, I'm doing fantastic, man. It's my favorite week of the year. It's actually a national holiday in the world of Drew. Thursday is NFL draft day. I am excited, bro. I've been filling out mock drafts. I've been hoping and praying that my team picks the guy that I want. It's been a week and I am excited. So come Wednesday, I'll be in the kitchen cooking it up. I'll turn into a chef. And then Thursday, hitting the range, golfing a little bit, and then I'll be staying home and having a party and having all of you guys over. I'm so excited. It's gonna be a
What a
blast.
G. What a freaking G. I love it.
But that's only my second favorite thing that happens this week because my first favorite thing that happens this week is the reason why we're on this call, and that is NGRN. And that's gonna be on Friday. No, whoa, excuse me, November. It's not November. April 26th. Is it the 26th or 25th? What?
Yep, 26th.
From 5:30 to 8:30 at the Arizona Sands Club. My whole family is coming. In fact, my grandma from Ohio is flying from Ohio just to come to NGRN.
No way.
I'm just kidding. But she
Oh,
is she did come from Ohio and she will be at NGRN.
that's
So
freaking
super
sweet.
stoked about that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're all stoked about the speaker. So if that doesn't tell you, that if there's, a 70-year-old retired lady there who's excited from Ohio to go to see the speaker, then you guys should all be there as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be freaking awesome. I mean, yeah, like we talked on previous calls, last meetup was an amazing turnout.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Jaw dropping how many people came.
Yeah. And it was just, I think we took so much away. Like, I can't thank Andrew enough. Like, I've applied a couple of those things, like the red balloons. And like, or I guess maybe I added the color red because I just assume balloons are red. Uh, but the balloon theory of, if they ask a question about it, they're interested, they're holding on. If they don't care, they'll let the balloon go and you should just let it go. That was so amazing. So
Yeah, yeah, it was really good. Yeah, that I think the communication skills are where you make or lose money, you know. And so if you can communicate effectively and know how to sell and how to help people, that's where you make your money. It's not on the service call, it's not on the product, it's not on, whatever. It's can you communicate with people effectively and then, deliver. So yeah, he was amazing. I'm excited for this weekend and seeing what General has in store for us.
absolutely, absolutely. I'm really excited, especially with everything we got going on. So
Yeah. So, Drew, let's do this. I'll start out with real estate because I know you're going to kind of update us the most today. And we'll go from there. Is that cool?
that sounds great to me. I'm excited to hear the real estate market updates.
Yeah. So, I'm going to go over Pima County today, just because I feel like most of our viewers, that's who it affects. So, again, if you're not familiar, Pima County includes all of your main suburban areas. So, you got Sahuarita, Green Valley, Vale, Marana, Oro Valley, Rita Ranch. I'm probably missing some, but you get the idea. And then Tucson, obviously. So, number of listings. This is for March of this year. We came in at 3,928 active listings, and we had 1,276 sold listings. Um, again, when we look at absorption rate, we came in at 3.35 month supply, up 2 basis points from 3.33 month supply the previous month. So again, overall, still a really strong seller's market. And then days on market, we had a really massive decrease actually. So in February 2024, the average days on market was 61.3 days. And then in March, we recorded at 52.5 days. So it dropped by about 10 days. So 2 weeks on average. That's pretty wild. So I think we'll definitely see come end of April and the reporting back for the month of April, we'll see that either stay there or even drop further down to around the same kind of velocity as we were seeing around summertime last year. So um, again, my call to action with the absorption rate being that low and just the days on market that we're seeing decreasing tells me we're still overall in a really strong seller's market. So just keep that in mind.
Awesome. Awesome. Sweet. And it's so hard because it's like how, you look at the market and it's like, what do we do? What do we do? How do we navigate this market, in all aspects, financial advising and all of that. And I always say, the number one thing is you should be consulting a specialist because you're going to hear people say, oh, it's a bad time to buy. It's a bad time to buy a house or it's a bad time to buy in the stock market. But is it really though? And so letting people understand and really talk about, what the purpose is and what the best opportunity and way to go by consulting someone who knows what they're talking about and does it on a daily basis is the best place to start. And I'm actually going to deviate a little bit from my conversation because I want to hit on this point as you were talking. It really brought up this point. So, when I run through my conversation traditionally with my first appointment, which is a very educational appointment, right? We're discussing a lot of different things and it's super baseline understanding. But one thing I always point out is the idea of pre tax and after tax assets, right? Money that you avoid paying taxes on now, so you pay taxes later, opposed to money that you pay taxes now, the after tax, and then you get all of the money plus the gains in the future tax free. And I always have these questions of like, well, I thought pre tax assets were the best. And when you look at it from from 30, 40 years ago, back where a lot of people hear their philosophy from, right? Like you probably listen to your parents and your grandparents on what they say because you assume that life experience is the best way to go and they're not going to steer you in the wrong direction. And 30, 40 years ago, when pre tax assets were invented and the taxes were all the way up here, highest tax bracket being 73%, and now highest tax bracket 39%, you see that substantial decline. And those people did save money in the long term because they put money away and avoided paying taxes when they are up here and paid them when they are down here. So your grandparents and the elderly are going to tell you, hey, you should be putting money into a pre-tax asset, but is that really the right place? No, because now today tax markets have flipped. So the Roth is the best place to put your money. Again, this is generally speaking, and barring your situation, it might be different, but generally speaking, Roth is definitely a better alternative because taxes, I don't know, will ever be that low again. And if they are, it's not going to go much lower than what they are today. So I always like to say that it's like consult a professional before just listening to what your parents or grandparents say, because their information might be outdated. Not saying that they're wrong, but they might not be as up to date as what a professional would know. And so, people might say, oh, houses are expensive because they were more expensive than they were 10 years ago. And interest rates are high because they were higher than what they were 2 years ago. But from a long-term macro scale, the housing market's still relatively affordable. And when you look at the actual metrics that matter, like the absorption rate, it still shows like it's a great opportunity to buy. So that's kind of what I want to talk about there. But I will dive in a little bit more onto my stuff. So we always track 3 markets on this channel. I haven't been doing that, but I did want to kind of go with some updates today because it leads into what my real talk about was supposed to be, and I kind of hit on it. But the S&P 500 was down last week 1.07%, still up 5.5% year to date, so still up pretty decent. The Dow Jones was up about 0.65%, but still up about 1.3% year to date. So we're still seeing that kind of steady, like about 1% to 1.5% up, but not substantial gains. And then the Russell 2000 is basically flatline last week, but it's down actually year to date 2.25%. And so the reason why I'm talking about all this is we've seen the S&P, the Russell 2000, and the Dow either stay steady or actually decline. The S&P 500 was at its highest up about 15% year to date, and now it's dropped pretty substantially. So The reason why I'm talking about this is you're going to start seeing a lot of headlines, if you haven't already, about a lot of tensions that are happening worldwide. And these tensions lead to knee jerk reactions, right? Over the past weekend and over the past week, I'd say we saw Iran shoot drones at Israel. The United States helped intercepted some of them. And then we saw Israel hold up an Iranian tanker ship. And then you also had all of this stuff going on with Russia and their politicians and them starting a draft. You have Ukraine struggling to find new soldiers to send out to war. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And it all is tied basically around the central aspect of oil. And so when oil start getting to be problems, that's when the oil market becomes volatile. When the oil market becomes volatile, things in our life become volatile with it as knee-jerk reactions, because oil is kind of that sanctuary of safety, I would say. The oil market doesn't typically fluctuate as much, and when it does, like we saw in 2020, you kind of see a lot of things fluctuate as well pretty substantially. So I'm saying all of this to say you will see a lot of volatility coming up, especially with the fact that we just don't know what's going on geopolitically, as well as politically in our own country, as well as the bank world. Like there's just a lot of uncertainty. Things are getting more expensive. Pain is kind of on the horizon. So, again, just keep your day-to-day investment strategies. Just continue to do that. But from an update perspective and global and macroeconomic scale, I mean, we are going to see a lot of volatility, I imagine, until probably November, December, or until we start seeing some clarity with these conflicts that we have going on. So,
No, that's really good. Yeah, I think Drew, I mean, I'm not sure with your license and everything what you can and cannot disclose, but you know, with everything going on in the world and our own country politically, in your experience, how much does like geopolitics and just politics in general play a role in investor returns when it
oh,
comes to investing in the market?
yeah, substantially. And it's really bizarre because what you would think happen is like you would think it would be like there's three stages to everything, right? There is the stage that something will happen, there's the stage that it won't happen, and the stage that it might or might not happen, right? So the uncertainty period. The markets do great when they know that something is or isn't going to happen. They stink when they're in the world of uncertainty. And so, ideally, right now, where we're at, this is the worst time to be in the market because we don't know what's going to happen, right? Like COVID sucked, it stunk, right? But think about the timeline of what happened, right? You had 2020 February, the market topped out. COVID happened, and within 30 days, the market crumbled. But by the end of 2023, the market was fully recovered and then some. I mean, the investor returns were insane. Why is that? Because after we kind of figured out what was happening, like the world shut down, but we started to figure out that masks were available and you could still go out, the market became certain that this is how the world was going to work. And so they began to trust the market again and said, okay, well, not everyone's dying and the world isn't completely going into shambles, right? There still is some structure there and things are still moving and grooving like an economy should. And so we saw that even though COVID was still relevant for 2 or 3 years after that, right? I mean, I would say it went into 2023 that COVID was still relevant. It started to end in 2023, but you saw it for sure in 2021 and 2022 and the remainder of 2020, right? Like you look into that and you're like, okay, that it had tremendous returns. And so I say all that to say, when you're in the period of uncertainty, that's when the market does horrible. And right now, that's exactly where we are. Once we know if we're going to war, then think about it. If we go to war, we're going to need more planes. We're going to need more defense systems. So, what companies are going to do well? Planes and defense system companies, right? If we don't go to war, what's going to do well? Probably the traditional tech stocks are going to do well. So it's all just interdependent upon what's going to happen. But once we know, investors then feel comfortable to invest where they know that the returns are going to be. And that's when you start to see the positivity and you start to see less of those knee-jerk reactions.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good because I think I mean maybe just being younger, we don't potentially think about these things, but for the younger person, they're like, I know personally a lot of people who are like, I don't vote because I just don't really, it doesn't affect me.
Mm-hmm.
And when all the while they're maybe running a business or investing their money, and it's like, no, like it does matter, right? Because if you are putting people in office who can, depending on their decisions, affect your returns on your investment and where things go, like that does affect you, right? It maybe doesn't affect you like every single day and hinder your life, but it does affect you to a degree. Then I think that's important for people to understand.
Absolutely. And like to be completely transparent with you, right? And this is not a political channel, so I won't get too political, but just baseline understanding how our country works in terms of actually voting people in. You have the concept of the popular vote, which really means nothing, and then the electoral college, which I'll just kind of briefly run over for those who don't understand how it works. So, popular vote is just the mass amount of people who voted. If you add up all the votes and you add them together, that's how it should. However, regionally specific, right? The states, there are varying populations. So, what happened was, is people were like, I don't think it's fair that California, which is predominantly a blue state, has as much pull as they do because a lot of them think the same exact way, similarly to Texas being a predominantly red state. And so when you're looking at it from that perspective, they're like, it's not fair that we can have all these people heavily populated in one state that sway the voting potential, where somewhere in Rhode Island or North Dakota, South Dakota, where no one really lives, they don't have equal say, but they are
Right.
geographically inhibited by other things. And so they came up with the Electoral College, which gave every state 2 votes. And it's based entirely on where you live geographically. That's how your state votes. And so um, I'm saying all of that to say your vote does matter, especially if you're in, because yeah, you could be the one vote that sways the electoral college to actually lean your way instead of the other way. And so it really does matter more than people think it does.
Yeah. And again, all this, we're not a political channel, but in the sense that geopolitics, politics in general, we are in a year, in an election year, end of this year. It is something to, not that you have to base your whole life on it. That's not, I don't think, what Drew and I are promoting, but just keep it in mind that it does matter. And you know, uh, for your investments and for your family and your family's legacy, right? Like if you are spending the time building, maybe you're working with Drew and you're making a tons of money and you're investing in the market, and that's going to be money that you're going to utilize and tap into to create a legacy for your family. Like you want to protect it, and so there's a lot of caveats to how you protect it, and I think understanding geopolitics, how our economy is right now, could definitely, because here's the thing: if the economy craps, there's going to be two people. One, you're going to be losing all your money and everything. Or two, you're going to be making a crap ton of money, more money than you've ever made in your life. There's really no happy medium, right? There's no like person who's like, oh man, this is great. Nothing's affected us. Like go back to 2008, talk to anyone who lived through the crash, and I can guarantee you they were either making a ton of money or they were practically losing everything or on the verge of losing everything. So just kind of keep note of that and make sure that, you know, as you move forward in an economy, like Drew said, he has the 3 stages. What were they again, Drew? I think that was powerful.
Yeah, the 3 stages are what we know is going to happen, what we know is not going to happen, and then the uncertainty in between.
Gotcha. So we're in one of those stages, is what you're saying, as an economy at any
Yeah.
given time.
And yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think right now we're in the uncertainty stage, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen. It's kind of like think about this because this will affect a lot of our viewers and they'll understand. Think about the idea of when Biden said, "Hey, I'm going to pass on student or we're gonna take $10,000 off of people's student loans," right? I know a ton of people who said, "Well, I'm not going to pay my student loans because I'm going to wait for him to pass that law because I'm not going to continue to pay. It's stupid, right? He's going to pass a law and we're going to get rid of $10,000." Well, that entire time that you did not pay, you are either racking up interest, or B, you were just pushing the can down the road to eventually get disappointed in the fact that it didn't actually happen. And now you still owe the 10 grand, but you could have been putting away that money and paying it off by month, but you decided to wait. Now, that might have been the smart decision because it might have been worth the risk of waiting. I thought for some cases there were definitely opportunities for it to say, "Hey, just kind of wait and see what happens." But now it didn't actually go through, right? Now you know what you're going to owe. There's no sense of like, oh, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? What should I be doing? How should I be thinking? And now you're just losing time of costing yourself more interest because you're waiting. That's the
Yeah,
exact same thing that happens in the market. So,
gotcha. That makes sense.
yeah.
Sweet. Well, do you have anything else to add, Drew? Otherwise, we'll go to the business quote.
No, I think that was all. I think, make sure again, I think the number one thing is just consult a professional, consult someone who knows what they're talking about. I mean, heck, if you're worried about international affairs and what's going on, we're gonna have a general speaking at the event. So you can ask him any questions about the global wars and stuff going on. You've got us two professionals amongst multitude of other professionals in different areas of expertise that can assist kind of with what's going on in their specific industry and sector. So definitely remember 5:30 to 8:30 Arizona Sands Club, April 26th. But that's the end of my spiel.
Perfect. I love it. Well, Drew and I always like to end these videos with a quote that'll get you thinking for the week. And so this quote today is, if you don't build your dream, someone else will hire you to help them build theirs.
Mm, I love that.
So what does that make you think of, Drew?
Ooh. So we reference this movie all the time, right? And I think it's kind of funny, right? Like that McDonald's movie, and I can't remember what the name of the movie was.
The founder.
The Founder, yes. And that movie, it reminds me of that because it's like, hey, he saw an opportunity to buy his way into McDonald's and hire a bunch of people who don't really have an idea. And all it was an opportunity that he took an advantage of that allowed him to move forward and exponentially grow his life, and hire a bunch of people to help him live his life the way he wants to. And I definitely don't recommend being scummy like he was because I think he did a few things that were a bit shady, but I do think that it's a prime example of a situation in which he took advantage of it to allow himself to hire other people rather than being a good hireable candidate. So, what about you, man? What do you think of?
Yeah, it makes me think of, I'm reading a book on and off right now called Who Not How. And the premise of the book is that, you yourself are a who to someone in their life, right? So an example, simple example could be like, I'm a son to my mom, and to my mom, like, I mean the world to her. So for her, I'm a who to her world. So like I make up a lot of her world because I'm one of her sons and she takes joy in me in this and gladness, right? So that would be like a personal example. A business example would be, I hire, an assistant who does all of my transaction paperwork for me. So I don't have to deal with any paperwork at all. And so, to this quote, if you don't build your dream, someone else will hire you to help them build theirs. I can hire an assistant, and that assistant is literally helping me accomplish my dream. And it could go both ways, right? Maybe that assistant, their dream is to work, 40 hours a week, make good money with the option to earn a bonus, and they want to just a flexible schedule, or maybe not a flexible schedule, they want a consistent schedule. and they want to work with someone that they like and trust, and I offer that to them. So to me, to them, I am their who, and them to me, they're my who, right? And so I think it's just when you're in business, um, especially being that we're a business kind of group, if you want to grow, you're gonna have to bring people on. You can't really do it all yourself. And so look for people that can do the things you need to get done, because the truth is they're probably going to be able to do it a lot quicker than you can and a lot better than you can. And so you not only help yourself, you help all your clients you service, and you help everyone you're in business with, because you do it now better and faster than you could before. And you're relieved because you don't have to do crap you don't want to do anyway. So it's really a win-win all around, but very few people are able to do it for whatever reasons. And I think there's multiple to that. But who not how. That's what it kind of makes me think of. So we want to encourage you guys this week. Definitely come out to NGRN. If you are looking for a who to get you connected into the business world, then NGRN would be it. Guys, we had 60 people at our last meetup. I mean, it's freaking crazy. Just word of mouth referrals, like the amount of knowledge and connections we have come out on a monthly basis is insane. So we just highly encourage you guys to come out this Friday, 5:30 to 8:30 at the Sands. That's all I have. Drew, you got anything?
No, I think you nailed it. I'm excited. That's it.
Excited too. If you guys have any questions, Drew and I's contact info will be in the description below. You can also respond to the text that we send out. We could be in touch that way. Otherwise, we'll see you guys this Friday.
Looking forward to it.
All right, later, guys.